Welcome back to another new video, guys. Sorry for the delay for this one. I've been very busy, but we're back with an absolute banger. Today, we're grading a bunch of Premier League midfielders. This is going to be very, very tough. Make sure to let me know down in the comments what ones you agree with, what ones are outrageously wrong. Make sure to share your opinion down in the comments below. Let's waste no time and jump straight into this. The first player, as you can see here, is Tonali. Now, I'm going to base this off how they've done in the Premier League, okay? I'm not going to base it on how good they were at prior clubs. So, for that reason, Tonali has to go an F. The ban has absolutely screwed him over. There's no chance they can put him any higher than F. I think he's only played about 3 games in the Premier League or something. So, for that reason, it's a very, very simple F tier. It's a bit unlucky because he is a great player. But if we're going just off Premier League, I'm left with no choice, really. And now, Joel Linton obviously had a massive position change, joined them as a striker, didn't quite work out, has now developed this new midfield role. I like him, but with some of the midfielders on this list, I can't put him too high because he's not technically gifted like some of the others are. But I think he is a class centre mid, very, very underrated. I think it's got to be B or C. I'm going to put him in C. I think middle of the park is good considering how high level these midfielders are. A lot of these midfielders are very, very good. So, being C does not mean, you know, anything bad or anything like that. If anything, that's actually really impressive. Being C with some of the world's best midfielders. So, Bruno G, we're instantly shoving him in A. That's all 3 Newcastle ones done now, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they go team by team. Yeah, they do. I've just checked. So, we're done with Newcastle. And I think that's fair enough. Obviously, Tonali would probably be in the A, to be honest, if he had played a season. That's what I would have predicted him to have done. But he hasn't. So he has to go in F. Joel Linton in C. And Bruno Guimaraes, he is an absolute baller. Would play for most teams in the Premier League. The only one which is a doubt is City, but that's just because it's City. But everyone else, he definitely starts. He could be perfect next to Rice and Ødegaard for Arsenal. Perfect next to what? Who else there? Casemiro, Fernandes, Mainu, someone. Any team, he fits amazingly. He's not quite the S tier, but I think he is the best of the rest, basically. And now, this is a difficult one. We've got Caicedo. Obviously, an amazing Brighton season last season. This season, he has struggled massively. And I am going to play recency more into account than previous seasons. So this is more going to be based on this season, probably, than previous ones. And for that reason, I don't think I can put him above D. He's been a massive flop. He's not been anywhere near good enough. So I don't think I can put him anywhere above D. It's a bit unlucky on his behalf. Like, he was so good at Brighton. It's not his fault they've spent over 100 mil on him. But I've got to judge him with that. And I think D, like, compared to how much they've spent, everything like that, I think D is sadly fair enough for him. And now we have Dahoud. I haven't seen too much of him. But obviously, Brighton are a very interesting team. And for that reason, I'm going to shove him straight into D. We're not going to talk too much about him. We've got better players that we want to get onto. And one of them is Pascal Gross. Maybe the most underrated Premier League midfielder on the entire list. He's an absolute baller that does the job for them week in, week out. But where are we going to pull him? Where are we going to pull him? I think a B. I think Pascal Gross goes in B. I think he's an absolute baller, and for that reason, he has to go into B. And now we've got 2 easy ones. I don't need to say anything about them. Rodri, S. De Bruyne, S. Probably 2 of the best, like 3 or 4 midfielders in the entire world. It's probably these 2. Bellingham, that's probably the 3 best midfielders in the world right now. And Man City have 2 of them. They're both the best in the league by far in their positions. Absolutely world class, both of them. And for that reason, they've got to be an S. I'm not sure if anyone else is joining them yet, but them 2 are an 100% S tier. And now it's an interesting one. Bernardo Silva. For me, he's got to go in one of the top 2 brackets. And guys, just to point out now, what we are going to do as well, we're going to order it in terms of how good they are. So if you're higher up, that's better. So what we're going to do is, we're going to have Bernardo Silva at the top of A, okay? So he is better than Bruno G, even though they're in the same grading, okay? It's obviously not too much difference, but he is better than him. Okay, now we have Mateo Kovacic. Obviously been in the Prem for a while now, for Chelsea, now for City. He's a very, very comfy player, very neat player. Works well under Pep, very comfy on the ball. I think he's got to be a C or B. I'm going to put him at the top of C, above Joel Linton. So he's the top of C as it stands. And then B is an easy one again. Sorry. And then the next one is Erdegaard. I almost gave where I'm putting him. He's not in B. He is in A. So I haven't gave anything away there. He's between Bernardo and Bruno. I think that's around fair enough. Erdegaard's an unbelievable footballer. So just being between them two, I think is very, very good company for him. As you might notice, I think Bruno's going to slowly slip down this A tier as we get further down. But we'll have to wait and see. Thomas Partey. Now this is an interesting one. Obviously he was massive for Arsenal last season. This season with injuries and stuff hasn't massively been involved. So it's a bit harsh to judge him off that basically. But I mean he's still a good midfielder. But I'm going to just shove him in the lower end of C. Because it's a really harsh one to try and judge him. You know, he hasn't played much football this season. But we know when he does play last season, he was instrumental to the team. So for that reason, I think just middle of the park is more than fair enough for him. Now we have an actual player. Declan Rice. Been unbelievable for Arsenal this season. Maybe signing of the season even though they spent that much on him. That's how good he's been. But where does he go is the question. I think it's got to be a top 2. I don't think it can quite be S. But I think he has to go either side of Bernardo. He has to go one of the sides of Bernardo. And I'm going to go for the impact he's had to Arsenal, for how good he's been for them. He's going to go at the top of A for now. We may end up changing it round, but for now, he's going to go at the top of A. Now we have a big one. Onana, obviously linked to many clubs for a lot of money, and I can see why. He's a massive centre mid, very strong, very clever on the ball, box to box. He can do a bit of everything. And for that reason, he's a very, very desired asset. A lot of people want a player like that in their team. And I see why. For me, it's a simple one. I'm going to shove him in the B, just below Pascal Gross. But obviously, he could easily climb. In a couple of years, if we do this one again, I would not be shocked if we see him in the A or the S. That's the kind of expectations I have for this man's career. I really, really like him. And now we have João Palhinha. And for me, quite an easy one, I guess. I'm thinking he's very, very good. Probably just above Pascal Gross, actually. Probably at the top of B, now that I think about it. As it stands, I reckon that is how the B is looking. This is very, very tough to do. So many players are so hard to compare to each other, especially when they're in different positions. So people like Erdegaard and Bruno G, or Erdegaard or Bernardo Silva and Rice, they're really hard to compare who's better than who when they play slightly different roles. But it is definitely an interesting one to try and have a look at. And now we have Yves Bissouma. I like him a lot. We're going to shove him. Because this season he's been very good, but he has had a few injuries. I think he's going to go either side of Gross. And we're going to back Gross. We're going to back Gross. We're going to shove him just beneath Pascal Gross there, but still ahead of Onana. Bissouma looks very, very good for Tottenham. He's part of this new transformed Tottenham midfield, and I like the look of it a lot. He's very good when he plays. So that's what I think a B in the mid-range is fair. Skip, he can just get an F. Actually, no, we shove him in E. He's of use to some Prem teams. I just don't think Tottenham are quite the ones who are going to be needing him. So I think E is fair enough. And now we have James Maddison. And for this one, I'm going to shove him just in front of Erdegaard. So remember, this is based mainly off this season. And when Maddison has been playing, he has been absolutely unbelievable. And Arsenal fans, before you get mad, I've got Rice as the top of A. So that can counter out me putting Erdegaard below someone, okay? Chill out, okay? Erdegaard is sick. Maddison is sick. Just this season, I think Maddison has surprised me way more than I expected him to. He's been so good whenever he's been fit. He's pushing for the England squad now. Hope he gets in. He's an absolute baller. But now it's the next player. And we have Enzo Fernandez. I think he's been better than Caicedo. And for that reason, I'm going to shove him in the C. Obviously bought at the same time for roughly the same amount. But I think Fernandez has been a little bit better than him. And we're going to put him just below Partey. I can't put him too high. He's been better, but he's still not been amazing is the issue. So I'm going to move on from this now. And now we got Conor Gallagher. This is interesting because a lot of people before this season were being D, like around this kind of area. D would play for a mid-table, low half team. But after this season with Chelsea, Looks like he's going to be in the England squad. Whether he starts or not, we're still not sure. I think he is starting to get slightly overrated, though. Don't get me wrong. I think he's starting to get slightly overrated, but I think that's just because how much he has surprised everyone. And for that reason, I think bottom of B. I think that's a very big compliment from where Conor Gallagher was expected to be at the start of the season. The fact that he's made it into a B tier is very impressive. Now we have a big player, McAllister. He's jumping straight in between Ødegaard and Bruno G. McAllister has been absolutely fantastic for Liverpool this season, especially with the price they paid. They paid so little, like it was like 35 million or something. Compare that to Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo. I know those are both Chelsea signings, so there is always a bit of a, you know, a question mark around the price tags. But McAllister, it's undeniable for his price. Sorry, he has been absolutely amazing. Now we have Dominik Szoboszlai, and he started off really well, but he has filtered off a lot. I think I'm going to have to shove him in the C. I'm going to maybe put him just in front of Joel Linton. He started off really promising, a lot of excited, but now he's too focused, you know, sometimes about looking at the cameras rather than looking at the ball. So that's why he's dropped down. He probably would have been a B, but he's now into the C. Kovacic is just above him, Joel Linton just below him. Now we have Thomas Souček. And I think he can chill out in the C's. I don't want to be mean to Thomas Souček. There's a chance I could have put him in D, but Everton are West Ham, sorry, are doing well. Who doesn't like Thomas Souček? And for that reason, we can shove him above Enzo Fernandez. Why not? We'll be nice to Big Tom. We'll be nice to him. Now we've got his teammate, Lucas Paqueta. Now for this one, he's got to be going in A for me. I think he belongs with the people in A. But it's just whether he's below. I think I'm going to put him above Bruno G. I think I'm going to. Yeah, I think that looks right so far for A. And now, Bruno Fernandes for me, easy one. Slot straight in between McAllister and Ødegaard. Been very consistent for a very, very long time. Not at his best individual season, but neither of United. He's carrying a lot of them on his back. I think he's a class player. Middle of the A range. Sounds about right to me. Make sure to let me know what you think though as well. Now we have Christian Eriksen, and based off this season, he's got to go and chill with Oliver Skipp. He's not much use to United this season. I'm not sure how much use he would be to many teams in the Prem, but it's a bit harsh. It is Christian Eriksen. He was very good last season, don't get me wrong, but there has been a big, big drop-off. And talking about big drop-offs, we have Casemiro next. I'm not going to put him too big of a drop-off down to E, but he is going to go towards the bottom of C. He's going to go at the bottom of C, actually. He's been very, very poor for United this season. Massively underperforming in big games, giving away the ball and stupid things. Mainu has absolutely outclassed him. And that's a bit annoying that Mainu isn't on this list. Mainu would be in the B tier, by the way, if he was on this list. He isn't, but I would have shoved him around the B tier probably somewhere. But the fact that an 18-year-old has outclassed Casemiro, it's a bit disappointing on his behalf. Now we have Yuri Tielemans. And for me, I'm going to shove him just straight in between Kovacic and Szoboszlai. I think that's fair enough. I think he's very, very comfortable. A very, very important player for Villa as well. Like, the fact that now Villa have got that squad depth is something they missed before. That's probably the difference between them challenging for Conference League and then challenging for Champions League. They've now got a lot more squad depth. And it's not just depth, it's high quality players like Tielemans that they picked up from relegated teams. Amazing signing. But I think he is going to keep going up when he gets more settled into that squad. Now we have a big one, Douglas Luiz, and for me, Douglas Luiz is the top player in B. We'll have to swap him around there. I think Douglas Luiz is absolutely amazing, and sadly for Villa fans, I think he may be leaving by the end of this season. I think we could be seeing him go to Arsenal, could be seeing him go to United, could be seeing him go to a few other clubs, maybe even a City, maybe a Liverpool. I think he could be going to one of them. I think he's absolutely amazing. Obviously, a set-piece threat. A ball-winning midfielder that is very competent on the ball. Amazing going forward. He's such a good player. So I think it's only fair to shove him right at the top of B. Now we have Emi Buendia, who has not been involved at all. And for that reason, we're just going to shove him down with the other few that aren't massively involved unless they're absolutely needed. Now we have Mason Mount. It's an interesting one. He hasn't had too much game time yet at Manchester United. But recently in the small glimpses he's shown, he looks alright. He could come good for them. He's obviously had a struggling year at Chelsea in the past, but he's also had some very good years at Chelsea. I think we can't be too harsh on him. Well, I think there's fair. I think I would rather him to Dominic Szoboszlai at the minute, but maybe not to Tielemans and Kovacic. I think that kind of works out right. It's a bit harsh because he hasn't played much this season, but we do know, the difference is, if he does play, we do know he's got the quality because we've seen it in the Prem before. 2 more left to go. Come on. Matheus Nunes. Easy as that. He's going in the C column somewhere. He hasn't impressed enough at City. He can go in between. Where can you go? We'll put him in between. Yeah, that would do. In between Joelinton and Dominic Szoboszlai, I think is fair enough. Yeah, he's been good, but, you know, City players, especially Pep players, sometimes they have a bit of a time spell where when they first join, they need a bit of time. You've seen it with Grealish, seen it with other players as well. Sometimes a bit of an adjustment period. It's a very unique style of football. It makes sense. Last player, Romeo Lavia. I don't believe he's barely touched a ball for Chelsea this season. But I want Sonali to be down there alone because, you know, he's a bit of an exceptional circumstance with the betting and everything. So we're going to shove Lavia into the E column. So that is it. That is the completed Premier League grading tier list, whatever you want to call it. What do you think of it? What would you massively change? If I gave you one change, what would it be? Let me know in the comments. And also, if you like this kind of video, you'll like me grading every Premier League team, and you can click on that right here and go and watch that right now. But if you have enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and until next time, thanks for watching and goodbye.